Hi, second part of the video for today. I'm Nick Ball. It's the 15th of August 2024. The time is 1 minute past 3. And I'm doing this in two parts because there's only so much memory on the camera. Okay, so in part one, I ad-libbed a lot about various components of this Department of Work and Pensions appeal, particularly the criminal marketing and the criminal behaviour of Dr. Fajalio, or the company he works for, trimming down the medical record, which has led to the Department of Work and Pensions making libelous and defamatory errors. Yeah, but I kind of want to get on with this. So we're just going to pick up from where we were before. So let's go back to just give you a quick summary. What I'm going to do is I'm creating. Sorry, I've just had the documents have reshuffled themselves. That's a bit annoying. Okay, we'll have to deal with that. Usually I have the research index on the left. Okay, so I don't need this document. The summaries. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm making 4 evidence entries to the Department of Work and Pensions because they can't deal with the videos I want to send, and there's no way to get them that evidence. Yesterday I was advised to put it on YouTube on a link-only account, so I'm just going to notice this. That might be better. Yes. Okay. So, sorry. Yeah. Yesterday I was advised that what I could do is write a letter to the judge and show him links to the video evidence. So that's a part of what I'm doing. But first, I do have to send to the Department of Work and Pensions because the appeal only has a few days left before I can send evidence. Even though I can't send evidence, what I can do is send the little bits of evidence that basically send it in smaller pieces. This has taken a lot of time. We're on the second day, but the less I talk, the more I get on with it, the faster it'll go. Okay, the arm is not too bad at the moment. It is painful, level 2.5, 3. So with GPT-4o, okay, let's listen to the summary GPT-4 has just made after my presenting the longer document I was going to send and asking GPT to give a summary of that document, where after we're going to add a few bits to this summary. First of all, we're going to hear it.
I've saved the entire letter from yesterday. Now I'll create a summary with a maximum of 2 lines for each section, using dashes instead of colons as requested. Once that's done, we'll go back and emphasize the key point you want to highlight. Here's the summary. Hashtag Section 1, Frustration with Medical and DWP Negligence. Nick details years of medical negligence, misrepresentation of his health, and the emotional toll this has taken, leading to severe physical and mental suffering. Section 2, DWP's first error in appeal reply. Nick points out a significant error in the DWP's response, where outdated information was used, leading to confusion and further complicating his appeal.
That's
Section
1 point.
3, no reply to video evidence and AI solution. Nick discusses the lack of response from the DWP to his video evidence and introduces Sienna AI as a solution to improve DWP processes and eliminate fraud. Section 4, ADHD and personal independence payment. Nick argues that ADHD does not justify receiving PIP and outlines his plans to develop AI technology to assess and prevent fraudulent PIP claims. Section 5, Sienna AI and Government Efficiency. Nick describes his development of AI tools like Sienna AI to enhance government efficiency and reduce fraud, with plans to present these innovations to officials. Section 6, the DWP appeal errors. Nick highlights errors in the DWP's appeal documents, including an incorrect diagnosis and misreporting that complicates his case and reflects negligence. Section 7, medical negligence and misreporting. Nick discusses how medical negligence and misreporting have led to a lack of appropriate treatment, exacerbating his suffering and complicating his DWP case. HABS Section 8, the cancellation of neurology appointments and 7 conditions. Nick details 7 serious medical conditions linked to polypharmacy, which the GMC has not denied, and describes how repeated appointment cancellations have hindered his treatment. Please review this summary. Once you're satisfied, let me know the key point you want to emphasize, and I'll incorporate it into the summary as requested.
Okay. Thanks, Sienna. That's very well done. We need to I'm going to give you a few extra pieces. Number one, we need to say at the top that this is part 2 of 4. This will be the second of 4 documents we're presenting today. Actually, one graphic photograph of a medical document and 3 documents. At the end of this document, at the end of this summary, can you please add a note that this document is actually a summary of the video that I prepared but could not send due to, let's just say could not send, due to your system failing, as discussed with the courts and tribunals on the 14th of August 2024, titled I'm removing the special characters. Okay. And please, when you add that, do it in as fewer words as possible. I've just realized there's a key point here that has been put in, but it doesn't have its own section header. Okay. Two. The next point we need to add will come before prequel, if you like. No, come before. The document text you've created begins. This really should be a key point that we're going to emphasize. So have it in its entirety and make the note that this really is a very critical point. Please don't summarize this. Copy it in its entirety. I'm speaking too fast. Copy it in its entirety. If you want to slightly improve the wording, feel free. We didn't include this as a headed section in the initial document, and it's probably the most important part. So let's have it at the beginning as an introduction to the entire affair. Okay, 3. I worry that the adding points here will confuse matters. Actually, for now, let's add these 2 points. So output exactly what you outputted before, but with the point above at the beginning and the note that this was originally from the video and the title of that video, which we're presenting a document for, at the end. After that, we'll go to the 2 points that we need the additional detail in. Okay. Fingers crossed. Okay, let's hear what
Here's the revised summary with the additions you requested. Part 2 of 4. Key summary of 20.24W. Document. Critical point. Your process should have been to just go through the first detailed question, what do I dispute? In which you have 12 categories and each has a score. I've told you in each case why you were wrong, that is my appeal, and everything else is just evidence. Section 1. Frustration with medical and DWP negligence. Nick details years of medical negligence, misrepresentation of his health, and the emotional toll this has taken, leading to severe physical and mental suffering. Section 2. DWP's first error in appeal. Reply Nick points out a significant error in the DWP's response, where outdated information was used, leading to confusion and further complicating his appeal. Section 3.
Okay, we've already heard this. And I can already see we're getting a little bit confused, so I'm going to copy and paste this.
Here's the revised summary.
Okay, part 2. Here's an important point. Hi GPT, thank you. We have a problem when I copy and paste this into Word. Where you are creating headers, it is adding 2 asterisks. I then have to edit there manually, which I can't do, or I can do, but it causes physical pain because that process of using the mouse in that particular way causes the repetitive strain in my shoulder. So please don't output in a way that has those 2 asterisks when I copy and paste into Word. If you can. This does seem to be a new thing. I've only noticed it in the last few days. Next point. At the beginning, where it says and remember not to use any special characters. You've used special characters at the end, the double quotation mark. Just have part 2 of 4. For now, we'll work out a suitable title at the end. Okay. Let's see how that works. Okay. That's working better. Now we just got to add the 2 additional points. Thanks, that's perfect. For point 2, let's include the complete original text, word for word, that you wrote yesterday. Okay, the next point. I'll just read you out this paragraph so you can hear it. Come on.
Nick highlights significant errors in the DWP's appeal documents, where outdated information about his physical abilities was incorrectly cited. He also points out a major mistake made by a psychiatrist who assessed his mental health, incorrectly reporting that he attempted suicide in 2015 due to a medication issue. Nick clarifies that he was reporting a drug's side effects, not a suicide attempt. The incorrect diagnosis of bipolar disorder, despite it being ruled out, further complicates his case and reflects the DWP's negligence.
Okay. We only need the second part of that. Okay, just section 6. In section 6, please include add that following a conversation yesterday with the Courts and Tribunals Service, I was advised that I should write to the judge specifically on a point of law. You have written that I have tried to attempt suicide and have bipolar. On official government paper, due to your negligence and due to the criminal activities of medical record tampering, that is at the heart of this case by Dr. Fialho. This is a case for the GMC and the police. However, it'll likely be at least a year before these cases have really started to develop in any way that can be reported. Is significant. What is important is that your own psychiatrist has written libelous and defamatory information due to the medical record tampering that we in 2015. I'm not getting this quite right. Let's see what GPT has. Please try and improve the above. Remember, we don't want to go too long here, Good luck. Let's see what you come up with. Okay.
Here's the revised version, incorporating the complete original text for Section 2 and the additional details for Section 6, with improvements to the wording. Part 2 of 4, critical point. Your process should have been to just go through the first detailed question, what do I dispute? In which you have 12 categories, and each has a score. I've told you in each case why you were wrong. That is my appeal. And everything else is just evidence. Section 1, frustration with medical and DWP negligence. Nick details years of medical negligence, misrepresentation of his health, and the emotional toll this has taken, leading to severe physical and mental suffering. Section 2, DWP's first error in appeal. Reply Nick points out a significant error in the DWP's appeal response, where they incorrectly state that he goes to Birmingham 3 times a year and walks 2 hours a day. This incorrect information, repeated twice in the documents, is based on a conversation from 2020 or July 2022, and has been mistakenly treated as a current assessment of his fitness. Nick argues that this error has led to a misunderstanding of his condition, further complicating his appeal. Section 3, no reply to video evidence and AI solution. Nick discusses the lack of response from the DWP to his video evidence and introduces Sienna AI as a solution to improve DWP processes and eliminate fraud. Section 4, ADHD and personal independence payment. Nick argues that ADHD does not justify receiving PIP and outlines his plans to develop AI technology to assess and prevent fraudulent PIP claims. Section 5, Sienna AI and government efficiency. Nick describes his development of AI tools, like Sienna AI, to enhance government efficiency and reduce fraud, with plans to present these innovations to officials. Section 6, the DWP appeal errors. Nick highlights errors in the DWP's appeal documents, including an incorrect diagnosis and misreporting that complicates his case and reflects negligence. He also points out a major mistake made by a psychiatrist who assessed his mental health, incorrectly reporting that he attempted suicide in 2015 due to a medication issue. Nick clarifies that he was reporting a drug's side effects, not a suicide attempt. The incorrect diagnosis of bipolar disorder, despite it being ruled out, further complicates his case and reflects the DWP's negligence. Following a conversation yesterday with the Courts and Tribunal Service, Nick was advised to write to the judge specifically on a point of law. The DWP has written in official government documents that Nick attempted suicide and has bipolar disorder based on erroneous information and medical record tampering by Dr. Fiallo in 2015. This case is being pursued with the GMC and could potentially involve the police. But these investigations may take at least a year to progress significantly. What is crucial now is that the DWP's psychiatrist has included libelous and defamatory statements in official records, further damaging Nick's case and health. Section 7, medical negligence and misreporting. Nick discusses how medical negligence and misreporting have led to a lack of appropriate treatment, exacerbating his suffering and complicating his DWP case. Section 8, the cancellation of neurology appointments and 7 conditions. Nick details 7 serious medical conditions linked to polypharmacy, which the GMC has not denied, and describes how repeated appointment cancellations have hindered his treatment. Note, this document is a summary of the video titled 20.24W, Dear Department of Work and Pensions. You guys are driving me crazy. 25 July 2024, which I prepared but could not send due to system failures, as discussed with the courts and tribunals on the 14th August 2024.
Okay.
Let me know if this works for you or if there are any other adjustments you'd like to make.
Okay, that's great, but I see a special character. Okay, that's great, but I see a special character. Actually, I can just edit that out myself. Oh man, it's got... You have mixed up the evidence that I've provided. And this has led to serious errors, some of which have legal ramifications. Additionally, because of my crippled state, and because of the amount of work that I've had to do in the past, my right arm is incapable of reviewing the documents that you've sent to me. I would need to receive them on a computer for me to be able to go through them. The various errors that I've found so far only come from myself looking over 20 minutes, and there are hundreds of pages to review. But there's no point me reviewing them all when you've clearly mixed up the evidence as I presented. The two major points as presented below. Also, physically, I cannot go through the documentation you've sent. I did try, and at the same time, I tried to mount a camera to monitor me constantly so as you could see for yourself that I have to pee in a bottle and I rarely leave the bedroom. I'm a bit worried I'm whining a bit too much now. But it caused critical pain for 2 days, as can be seen on my diary. OKR diary. Please send me the documentation as a file that I can access via computer. Hi, that works well, but I do note a special character, and these headers still have the double asterisks whenever I copy and paste them into Word. Could you try and make the headers in a different way? Also, here is the beginning that I've added to slightly. Could you better word it? Make it more polite, please. Unfortunately, the frustration and the pain that I'm in does lead me to be quite angry, and I don't want this to be... I don't want to upset the person who reads this. So please just rework that introduction section that I've made. I made a mistake there. I pressed enter before giving the actual documentation, but yeah, GPT's worked it out. Okay, let's see what we've got now.
Here's a revised version of the introduction, made more polite and clear. Part 2 of 4, critical point. I respectfully ask that you reconsider the approach taken with my appeal. It seems that the process should have begun with a thorough review of the first detailed question, what do I dispute? In which you have 12 categories, each with a score. I have clearly outlined in each case why I believe the decisions were incorrect, and that forms the core of my appeal. The additional documents provided are intended solely as evidence to support those points. Unfortunately, it appears that the evidence has been mixed up, leading to serious errors, some of which could have significant legal implications. Due to my physical condition, I am unable to thoroughly review the extensive documentation you have sent. My right arm, which has been severely affected by previous work-related strain, does not allow me to physically manage the paperwork. I attempted to review the documents, but after just 20 minutes, the pain was so intense that it incapacitated me for 2 days. Given that there are hundreds of pages to go through, it is not feasible for me to do this without causing myself further harm. I would therefore request that the documentation be provided to me in a digital format that I can access via computer. This will enable me to review the information without exacerbating my condition. I have already identified significant errors within the brief time I was able to look over the documents, and it would be more efficient for all involved if I could continue this review electronically. This version should be more polite and easier for the reader to engage with.
Yes, it is. Well done. Thank you. One small point. At the end where you say I have already identified significant areas within the brief time I was able to look over the documents, and it would be more efficient for all if I could continue this review electronically. I'd also like to add that because of the errors I've already found, where the evidence has been mixed up as presented below and in the documents. I shouldn't have to go through the hundreds of pages when I've already shown that there's been serious errors. These should be recreated in your own time and then represented to me without any mistakes. Remembering that the appeal was section 1. Everything else was evidence. When it asked for more information, I added the evidence into that section because the system kept crashing and I simply couldn't add the more additional points that you wanted in that question, and I added the evidence instead, a copy of the evidence instead, and that has led to this confusion, I believe. But please make that polite and use less words. And let's just work on that last paragraph. So don't output the beginning part again. I will copy and paste them individually. Fingers crossed. No, give it to twice as many lines as you've done. So go for about 7 lines, please.
Certainly. Here's an extended version of the final paragraph. Given the significant errors I have already identified within the brief time I was able to review the documents, it is evident that there has been a mix-up in the evidence, leading to serious inaccuracies. Considering these findings, it seems unnecessary and unreasonable for me to go through the entire set of hundreds of pages when these issues are already apparent. I respectfully request that your team take the time to carefully review and correct the documentation on your end. Once these corrections are made, I ask that the revised documentation be presented to me without any mistakes. Please remember that the core of my appeal is outlined in Section 1, and all other documentation provided was meant solely as supporting evidence. When the system asked for additional information, I was unable to input it due to repeated system crashes, which forced me to copy and paste the evidence into that section. I believe this technical issue contributed to the current confusion. This should now provide the additional detail.
Okay, that's good, but let's be specific question 1 was and it's possibly my mistake that has led to this, albeit it wasn't my fault. But we do need to outline the error that I made. The first question that needed a detailed response: what do you dispute? Was my appeal, and it was simple. There are 12 points, and I've written my battery power. Let's just plug you in. Okay. There are 12 points, each of which I have given a good explanation of why the initial finding was wrong. And a lot of this was due to the fact that when I first appealed, I didn't have any idea of the extent of my injuries. The second question: what additional points do you want to make? This I couldn't fill it in because of system crashes. So what I did, because the evidence was valid to this section, I added the evidence into that section. I simply copied and pasted the evidence section into that section because it was vaguely relevant. This seems to be where the errors happened. I did, in the appeal, write down clearly that this is a copy of the evidence and this is due to the system crashes, but I think this note has been missed.
Here's the revised final paragraph with the specific details included. Given the significant errors I have already identified within the brief time I was able to review the documents, it is clear that there has been a mix-up in the evidence, leading to serious inaccuracies. Considering these findings, it seems unnecessary for me to go through the entire set of hundreds of pages when these issues are already evident. I respectfully request that your team take the time to carefully review and correct the documentation on your end. Once these corrections are made, I ask that the revised documentation be presented to me without any mistakes. To clarify, the first detailed question in the appeal, what do you dispute, was my core appeal, where I outlined 12 points, each with a thorough explanation of why the initial finding was incorrect. Much of this was due to my lack of awareness of the full extent of my injuries at the time of the initial appeal. The second question, what additional points do you want to make, is where the problem occurred. I was unable to complete this section due to repeated system crashes. As a result, I copied and pasted the evidence into this section because it was somewhat relevant. I clearly noted in the appeal that this was a copy of the evidence due to the technical difficulties, but it seems this note may have been overlooked, contributing to the current confusion.
Okay.
This version includes the necessary specifics and explains the situation clearly while remaining polite. Let me know if there are any further adjustments you'd like.
That's good. One point is in the second to last paragraph at the end, you say, much of this was due to my lack of awareness of the full extent of my injuries at the time of the initial appeal. That shouldn't be at the time of the initial appeal. That should be at the time of my initial assessment in early 2022. Secondly, there are many special characters. Please remove all the special characters. And re-output. Thank you. And re-output. Wow. There's special characters all over the place. Oh dear. Thanks, but please remove all special characters. I don't think you're understanding. Special characters, question marks and long dashes, for example, colons, anything like that will not be accepted by the system. Okay, that looks a lot better. That's perfect, thank you. Please now add the beginning to this section and add these paragraphs after it. Here is the beginning. Trouble is, this is now becoming quite long, but you need a summary of the summary, but this is a little bit like that. Okay, what have you got?
Here's the complete section with the revised introduction and the additional paragraphs. Part 2 of 4. Critical point. I respectfully ask that you reconsider the approach taken with my appeal. It seems that the process should have begun with a thorough review of the first detailed question, what do I dispute? In which you have 12 categories, each with a score. I have clearly outlined in each case why I believe the decisions were incorrect, and that forms the core of my appeal. The additional documents provided are intended solely as evidence to support those points. Unfortunately, it appears that the evidence has been mixed up, leading to serious errors, some of which could have significant legal implications. Due to my physical condition, I am unable to thoroughly review the extensive documentation you have sent. My right arm, which has been severely affected by previous work-related strain, does not allow me to physically manage the paperwork. I attempted to review the documents, but after just 20 minutes, the pain was so intense that it incapacitated me for 2 days. Given that there are hundreds of pages to go through, it is not feasible for me to do this without causing myself further harm. Given the significant errors I have already identified within the brief time I was able to review the documents, it is clear that there has been a mix-up in the evidence, leading to serious inaccuracies. Considering these findings, it seems unnecessary for me to go through the entire set of hundreds of pages when these issues are already evident. I respectfully request that your team take the time to carefully review and correct the documentation on your end. Once these corrections are made, I ask that the revised documentation be presented to me without any mistakes. To clarify, the first detailed question in the appeal, "What do you dispute?" was my core appeal, where I outlined 12 points, each with a thorough explanation of why the initial finding was incorrect. Much of this was due to my lack of awareness of the full extent of my injuries at the time of my initial assessment in early 2022. The second question, "What additional points do you want to make?" is where the problem occurred. I was unable to complete this section due to repeated system crashes. As a result, I copied and pasted the evidence into this section because it was somewhat relevant. I clearly noted in the appeal that this was a copy of the evidence due to the technical difficulties, but it seems this note may have been overlooked, contributing to the current confusion. This should now be complete with all your requested additions. Let me know if there's anything else you need.
Okay, that's great. There's just one. Ow. That's the trouble. I go through a period without pain, and I'll move my arm quite a bit, and then the pain comes back. The only trouble with this section
Here's the
is that therefore, I must ask that you please provide me the documentation in digital format. As whilst I can't hold paper and go through it, I can, as is seen in the videos, carefully edit on computer. A summary of the document. Eight points within the document. Okay. Okay, we've burned up a lot of time. We're now 2.5 hours in. So this is 5 hours just preparing this, given the 2.5 hours yesterday. Okay, so that is the second of 4. The third of 4 is the original. Okay. And the third of 4 is just the summary of section 8. The first is the copy of the neurological scan cancelled. I'm just going to go now to the second part. Now I'm wondering whether to send this original version. Dear Department of Work and Pensions, you guys are driving me crazy. I think I should, because that's the video. But I should make an apology at the beginning saying I wrote this when I was in a lot of frustration. Okay, we are finished with this, part 2 of 4. Great, thank you. We're finished with part 2 and 4. Slow down, Nick. Because the trouble is, I forget to slow down. Better if I just move back a bit. Yes. Okay. This is the long version of the document we summarized yesterday, and I only want a summary of this document that is at most 7 lines long with no special characters, after which we'll put a little introduction. Here is the main text. This is going to burn up a lot of my Okay, here we go. Let's have a quick listen.
Here's a concise summary of the document. Nick outlines a long history of medical negligence involving 23 doctors, with evidence of record tampering and a lack of response from the GMC. Despite providing extensive evidence to the DWP, including 7 hours of video, significant errors remain in his case, including misrepresented medical history and a false diagnosis of bipolar disorder. These mistakes have exacerbated his physical and mental suffering, including severe pain and CPTSD. Nick also highlights the cancellation of crucial neurology appointments and questions whether these repeated errors indicate more than just negligence.
Okay.
This summary is within the 7-line limit and captures the key points of the document without special characters. Let me know if you need any further adjustments or an introduction.
Yes, let's have an introduction. Dear DWP, this was the original audio recording that I created after receiving the appeal and finding the errors. I must apologize. I was very angry at the time. I turned this into a video that I wish to send you, but haven't been able to. The previous document you received, part 2 of 4, is a more summarized version of this. Therefore, this is only necessary if you need more detail pertinent to part 2 of 4, or if you want the links to the podcast. I have, however, already sent you a dedicated document presenting the podcast episodes pertinent to the Department of Work and Pensions. Okay, please make that into a polite introduction. Okay, let's hear.
Certainly. Here's a polite introduction based on your request. Dear Department of Work and Pensions, this document is based on an original audio recording I created after receiving the appeal and discovering several significant errors. I must apologize for the tone, as I was quite upset at the time. I later turned this into a video that I intended to send, but have been unable to do so. The previous document you received, part 2 of 4, is a more concise summary of this content. This document provides additional details that may be relevant if you require further information specific to part 2 of 4, or if you wish to access the links to the podcast episodes. Please note that I have already provided a separate document with the podcast episodes pertinent to the Department of Work and Pensions.
Okay.
Let me know if you need any more adjustments.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. I'm a bit lost because I usually have the index as the first of the Word documents on my computer, but it document summary. Okay, that's that done. Now, what I'm going to do. Let's add the title to that past. Okay, now let's move to the last part. Thanks, Sienna. I'm really glad we managed to get that one done quickly, as we spent far too long on previous versions. Okay, we're now going to go over section 8 of the work we did yesterday. Because this is quite a revelation, no, that's not the right word, quite concise and legal and to the point, I thought we'd better make a dedicated episode of it. Document, and in particular because this goes to the heart of, and in particular because this, and in particular because this goes to the heart of the missing neurology appointment that we present as part 1 of 4. Again, I'm just going to give you the entirety and ask you to summarize it without any special characters and try and make it a little bit more polite than it is, but without losing the punch. Here's the complete document we're going to send. Are going to send. Okay. Section 8. The cancellation of 2 neurology appointments and the 7 serious medical conditions. Please do list the 7 conditions, but with no more than 1.5 lines each. And please remember to remove all special characters. Okay, let's see what we come up with.
Here is a concise and polite summary of the document, with all special characters removed. Section 8. The cancellation of neurology appointments and 7 serious medical conditions. Since July 2022, I have experienced 7 serious medical conditions, likely linked to what I believe is the largest case of polypharmacy in UK history, a claim that neither the GMC nor NHS has denied. Despite providing detailed evidence, the GMC has not disputed my assertion, which suggests that my case stands as the largest of its kind. The 7 conditions are: 1. Acquired megacolon, misdiagnosed as appendicitis. This condition requires daily medication and will shorten my lifespan, likely caused by quetiapine at double the legal dose and other medications. 2. Central sensitization. Suggested by an osteopath and confirmed by an NHS physiotherapist, this condition likely results from overmedication and the sudden withdrawal of antipsychotics. 3. Autonomic nervous system damage. suspected to be the cause of my constantly freezing feet, likely due to the same overmedication, particularly the illegal doses of quetiapine and Lyrica. 4. Oral candidiasis and thrush issues. This condition was only addressed because it involved a dentist, not a doctor who might be reluctant to diagnose a malpractice-related condition. 5. Urological condition 1. A private issue exacerbated by polypharmacy, which remains untreated due to professional avoidance. 6. Urological condition 2. Difficulty passing urine due to central sensitization and over-medication, which has severely impacted my quality of life. 7. Tinnitus. Like the others, this condition has not been properly addressed, leaving me in ongoing suffering. These conditions were exacerbated by events in December 2021, when I lowered my medication doses due to severe side effects, including visual hallucinations. My condition improved significantly after reducing the dosage, revealing that what was believed to be bipolar disorder was actually a reaction to the medication. This revelation has been largely ignored, and I believe it highlights a widespread issue that many others may face. Despite my improvements, the Department of Work and Pensions has not acknowledged the role of medication in my conditions, leading to ongoing challenges. This orchestrated cover-up, or perhaps a simple rule within medical institutions, seems to prevent doctors from diagnosing or discussing conditions that may have been caused by the malpractice of another doctor. This summary should be concise, yet informative, and free of special characters, while still conveying the important points. Let me know if any further adjustments are needed.
Okay, please add that central sensitization is the condition that has crippled me. The osteopath said my pain levels are 10 times more than should be expected from an SIJ injury. And suggested central sensitization. This is why Dr. Johnson created the appointment that we see is cancelled in part 1 of 4. Note that while central sensitization isn't the same as Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis, it has the same impact. It is not widely known in the UK because it can be linked to, it is directly linked to the use of antipsychotics and medications like Lyrica. We can go longer in the central sensitization points. So please add all of the above, put in your expert wording. Lastly, I'm seeing some special characters. I don't think that very long dash that you use is allowed. Please don't use those long dashes. Thought I saw another one. I personally am a big long fan of the long dash, but I believe it's a special character. Actually, we'll run it by, and if it works, I'll know that. The trouble here is that GPT has made certain titles in bold, and as best I know, when I copy and paste this across, Yeah, puts... Hi GPT, that's really cool, but when you make the words bold, when I copy and paste it into Word, it adds all these asterisks that I have to take out, and that hurts my arm. Please, instead of using bold, just use normal text, but have it on its own line. So there's a simple line, not a header, just a simple line for each part where you made it bold, and output exactly the same. You can see there's a lot of effort goes into removing the special characters and putting it in a way that doesn't cause me pain. Yes, this is much better. We've lost the numbering. You can have a number with a dot after it, that's fine. Please output exactly the same, but keep the numbering for each condition so as it's consistent with the document. Okay, that's better. Let me just read out what it's done for, what GPT's done for, or Sienna 4.0 has done. Central sensitization. This is the condition that has crippled me. The osteopath said that my pain levels are 10 times more than should be expected from an SIJ injury and suggested sensitization as the cause. Dr. Johnson recognized the severity and arranged for the neurology appointment that were later cancelled, as discussed in part 1 of 4. While central sensitization is not widely recognized as conditions like Parkinson's and multiple sclerosis, it has a similar impact on my life. The condition is not well known in the UK, largely because it's directly linked to the use of antipsychotics and medications like Lyrica. Okay, that works. Okay, let's copy that across. And do I need an introduction to this? Part 4 of 4. Right, okay, so we don't need an introduction because this is a continuous and we see it's part 4 of 4. We've now got to go back to part 1. Perfect GPT, and we've made up good time. Now we need to introduce this set, and for this, instead of sending a document, I'm only going to be sending a photograph of the cancelled neurology appointment. This is the title of the document we're sending that has the date. please note that I had already previously sent the piece of evidence I'm going to find the document I made that I read out to Dr. Johnson when we made the appointment. That is also on a video, but we can't send the video, but we can use the document that was used to make the appointment. And I'll ask GPT to summarize it. Yes. As part of the summary for this. Yes, that will work well. Okay, let's find that document. I wrote it down yesterday. Where is it? Johnson. Here he is. Actually, we're going to resend this document. So that means it's going to be 5 of 5. Ow, ow, ow. Actually, point 6 should be... The final point should be to ask that, because the subject access request from Epsom St Helier has not been replied, returned, and this has critical evidence we must ask that the window for opening evidence extends up until the point that has been delivered and I have had time to process it. Okay. That would make you part. Actually, I should send, this has got to change around. I should send the doctor, resend the Dr. Johnson referral to neurologist first. We're going to go for 7 parts. Part. Should be specific to the wheelchair. Okay. We're now changing this to 7 parts. Okay. I've actually changed my mind and we're going to send 7 parts. This is going to be the first part. It was the original letter that I used in the conversation with Dr. Johnson to request the neurological appointment that he was happy to provide. Here is the complete letter. This is now part 1 of 7. Please output this in a maximum of 5 lines. Don't use any links and don't use any special characters. But do explain that the but do explain that this appointment was subsequently cancelled, and all that we're going to hear relates to that cancelled appointment, with the exception of part 2, which discusses the use of a wheelchair, and part 7, which discusses the lack of an SAR response let's allow 8 lines then. Here is the complete document. Apologies, I've just noticed there are 2 sections to this letter to Dr. Johnson. The first was instructions on my crippled state that he wasn't aware of, that were specifically to do with the Department of Work and Pensions. Please summarize that within 5 lines. Then move on to the second part of the document and summarize that within 6 lines. Explaining that this is the part of the relevant to the neurological scan that was cancelled, and the other parts that I am presenting. Here is the letter to Dr. Johnson. Go. Okay, I'm going to add an introduction to this and then rewrite so as it's a fluid conversation, and use the introduction to improve the second 2 parts. Dear Department of Work and Pensions, this is the first of 7 pieces of evidence I am submitting. This was the letter I wrote to who I believed was my GP at the time, Dr. Sevenoaks, telling me that he was no longer my GP previously. In the first part of the letter, I appraised Dr. Johnson of my condition specifically for the Department of Work and Pensions appeal. In the second part of the letter, we go on to the neurological condition that all the other parts that that is detailed in the further pieces of evidence I'm submitting, including the cancelled neurological scan. Okay, let's see.
Here's the revised version with your introduction integrated into the summary. Dear Department of Work and Pensions, this is the first of 7 pieces of evidence I am submitting. The following is a summary of the letter I wrote to Dr. Johnson, who I believe was my GP at the time. In the first part of the letter, I appraised Dr. Johnson of my condition, specifically for the Department of Work and Pensions appeal. I outlined my severely limited mobility and dependence on others, explaining that I can stand for only 8 minutes a day, rely on a cane, and have no IT or other support. I highlighted that I must use a bottle for the toilet, clean my teeth while kneeling, and have not left my house except for medical transport. Without my mother's help, I would not survive. In the second part of the letter, I requested a neurology referral for central sensitization and autonomic nervous damage, both likely due to overmedication. I referenced multiple healthcare professionals who supported the need for a neurological evaluation. Dr. Johnson arranged the appointment, which was later canceled. This cancellation is the focus of the further pieces of evidence I am submitting, including the canceled neurological scan. Additionally, I discussed medication adjustments, including tapering off Lyrica pregabalin and managing other conditions that developed post-July 2022. This version should provide a smooth and cohesive summary of the letter, with the introduction seamlessly integrated. Let me know if this works for you.
I just need to change that believe to believe, but that seems pretty cool. We'll go with that. Okay, so actually there's a couple of little points there. A couple of little points. It should be, I believed Dr. Johnson was my GP at the time, not I believe. And secondly, about the Department of Work and Pensions appeal, add a paragraph after the second paragraph, or extend the second paragraph to say Dr. Johnson during this conversation inquired about the Department of Work and Pensions appeal, and I said I would send it to him in its entirety, and I asked if I would if he would like me to send it to him in its entirety, and he said yes, and after I sent him the entire appeal. Other than that, please keep it word for word as you've done. I'm worried I'm going to run out of GPT processing time at some point. There's only so much it'll give you within a time. I do have the pro version, but even so, something's gone wrong here. Why has it not? Come on, baby. What's going on? Okay, we have a technical problem. I am Dr. Johnson asked me to send him a copy of the appeal, and I obliged. However, it later turned out that the requests to change doctors from Dr. Sevenoaks to Dr. Johnson hadn't been fulfilled. This has caused significant confusion. Okay, that's enough. This letter was then used in the conversation had with then read by me to Dr. Johnson in its who was happy to make the neurologist appointment. Oh,
very exhausting.
Yeah, I'm 2 hours into the second one.
Are you?
Oh,
Oh dear.
where's the serviette?
Here it is.
Yeah, GPT's had a little moment not working. I'm sure it'll work in a minute.
Oh.
Thank you very much. Again, in case you hadn't seen the earlier videos, I'm in bed all the time and my mother has to bring me all food and water and everything like that. With the exception of about 3 minutes a day when I go to the toilet, or if it's sunny, I go to the garden because that burns off the eczema that you get from laying. At the moment, I don't have any eczema because I managed to get in the sun. If you see me having a suntan and think, well, he's, I go in the garden specifically to burn off the eczema. It's a medical necessity. Whew. The absolute necessity to be classed as somebody who has a wheelchair, needs a wheelchair, and in fact is worse than somebody who needs a wheelchair. That'll be oh, no, what are you doing? No, I'm going to move that wheelchair to part 6. Okay, the SAR on the wheelchair will go as parts 6 and 7, which means I can do parts 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 now and come back to those potentially later after I've finished or tomorrow. I've lost my connection to GPT. Okay, I'm back. I've had to use Google Chrome as opposed to Edge. Let me just finish eating my crumpet and then we'll... Just going to try logging in. Oh, I'm actually getting... The body's not liking being in this position for too long. Oh dear. Okay, well, we'll come back to that. So, part 1 of 7. Dear Department of Work and Pensions, this is the first 7 points I'm submitting. The following is a summary of the letter I wrote to documents. Okay, well, let's move on to the Department of Work and Pensions website and see if we can start inputting this. So, trouble is, this is why I use 2 browsers, because I prefer to have access to GPT just by swapping the browser as opposed to changing the window in the browser. Provide evidence. Upload letters. Okay. I'm just going to go back and forwards because it still had yesterday's letter unsent. Okay, so choose file. Legal, Department of Work and Pensions, Appeal, Documents. here we go. What's going on? Ah, okay, it's open. Close the document. Open. Add the summary. Hope and pray that we don't have the special characters problem. Now, I don't have time to reread all of this, so okay, submit evidence. Oh, special characters, are you kidding me? Oh. Is it the curly bracket? Because I can't see any special characters here. Okay. There are no special characters there. Oh, don't tell me I've done all this yesterday and all this today and there's no way to send any evidence at all. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a separate GPT chat. No. Hi GPT, can you identify any special characters in the following? Oh no. I think I've run out of processing power. The text you provided does not appear to contain any special characters beyond the standard letters, punctuation marks. Let's read it out.
The text you provided does not appear to contain any special characters beyond the standard letters, punctuation marks, and spaces that are common in English text. The text consists of typical characters used in English writing, including letters, AZZ, numbers, e.g. 1, 2, 7, punctuation marks, e.g. period, comma, colon, hyphen, standard spaces between words. If you were referring to special characters as something more specific, such as non-standard symbols, accents, or control characters, none of these appear in the text provided.
I am trying to send data. I'm trying to send a written description of evidence to the Department of Work and Pensions, and it keeps coming back telling me there are special characters when I can't see any, and neither can you. I expect this is a very, very badly made legacy system. In fact, I know it's very, very badly made. I actually have now 16, 17, 18 videos of it failing. So we've got to be hyper vigilant. Any type of double space or anything like that, it's probably rejecting. Could you please rewrite the text that I've given you? For this use case. Imagine it's a baby that is being very, very naughty, and we've got to be extra vigilant because there's obviously something that is a programming error. We've got to try and find out what it is. For now, could you try and write a version that is extra cautious? Please. Okay. Certainly, below is the rewritten text with extreme caution, focusing on eliminating any potential issues like double spacing, unnecessary punctuation, and ensuring that everything is as simple and as straightforward as possible. Okay, let's submit evidence to tribunal. Go. There are special characters in the text entered. Please remove before continuing. I really don't know what to do. This is just this is the 18th video. There are now what, 12, 13 hours of me trying to get this appeal to these guys. Okay, all I can do is Darn it, darn it, darn it. I can put the summary at the top of the document. That's all I can do. This is absurd. Okay. I mean, I wonder if there's a character limit that they've put in for some reason. Jeepers. It's just, this is, oh no. I spent all this time making these summaries and none of those summaries are going to work. This is, all this time I'm burning up my arm and I could have been doing something else. I should have been doing the Microsoft stuff. Right. Got to open the letter to Dr. Johnson. How am I going to do this without the letters? This summary has been added because of the DWP inability to process summaries, as seen on video 18 of the DWP system crashing videos. I'll put it in small text. Oh. I'm getting tired now. I'm making mistakes. The following has been summarized because on this document, because it's impossible to send the summary to the Department of Work and Pensions due to the many. See video 18 of DWP system crashing videos. I'm actually really getting quite sore on my back now. small text, highlight in blue. The following has been summarized on this document because of DWP system errors. See video 18 of DWP system crashing videos. It was not possible to add a summary to the evidence. Okay, so close that document down. Delete it from Department of Work and Pensions. Re-add document now that it's got the summary on it. Now, what do I write in this summary? Summary unavailable due to system crashes. Please find summary at the beginning of the document in blue. Highlighted in blue. Okay, so let's copy this text here so I can do it again and again. See if it'll accept that. Okay, looking at this, submit evidence. Let's see if it, okay. At a guess, there's a certain amount of letters you can use. It's certainly not special characters. I've already sent the technical department a detailed, this in great detail, and I've had no response, and obviously they've had no chance of fixing it. You see here it says beta, your feedback opens. I've sent that to them. I spend a lot of time sending it to them. Okay, let's move on to part 2. No, part 2 should be the cancelled neurology appointment. The cancelled neurology appointment. Second, hi GPT, we seem to have a real problem with the summaries. Sorry, it's Sienna. I've given a prompt GPT to answer as Sienna. That's in this. The other special characters was a different. As best I can work out, there might be a limit to the amount of characters you can actually use. We're now moving to part 2 of 7, where I send the cancelled neurology appointment. Parts 1 to 5. Stop. Oh, no. Oh, stop. Okay, that's good, GPT. The main point we're making here is that because of this cancelled appointment, we cannot provide the documentation that is needed for the Department of Work and Pensions appeal. And this has been the thrust of the entire appeal. This is elaborated on in parts 3, 4, and 5. Okay, that's good, but do include the fact that this is also a serious medical problem for me. It's a serious medical problem, but it is also the reason why I cannot provide the documentation that is needed. Okay, let's have a listen.
Here's the updated summary with the inclusion of the seriousness of the medical issue. Part 2 of 7, ESH, the second neurology referral canceled by Epsom and St. Helier University Hospital's NHS Trust, 12th of July 2024. This is the second piece of evidence detailing the cancellation of my second neurology appointment by Epsom and St. Helier University Hospital's NHS Trust on the 12th of July 2024. This cancellation is not only a serious medical issue for me, preventing critical evaluation and treatment, but it also directly impacts my DWP appeal by leaving me unable to provide the necessary documentation. The lack of neurological evaluation has been a central issue throughout my appeal, as further elaborated in parts 3, 4, and 5. This version emphasizes both the medical and procedural implications of the canceled appointment. Let me know if this fits your needs.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. But the big but. Well, it's let's see if it passes the special characters test. Okay, so okay. Oops, you've not chosen a file. That's fair enough. I have not. You're correct. Choose file. Graphics. Show me. Okay, let's see. Looks good. Okay. Okay, part 3. Okay, I've got to amend this document now, adding this summary at the beginning. Oh, dear. Okay, so let's just put some headers on here. Okay, what is this document? 8 important items for the attention of the DWP. Okay. Document. 8 important items. Add the summary in blue. The original document before the necessary summary. Summary was added. Okay, let's add that. What did I write at the top of the Dr. Johnson one? There we go. Reopen. following in blue. Okay. Okay, let's get the summary. Thank you, Sienna 40. That was great and it worked. Next, we need as short a summary for the following. Let's have a listen.
Here's a concise summary for Part 3 of 7. Part 3 of 7. 8 important items for the attention of DWP. Nick requests that the DWP reconsider the approach taken with his appeal, emphasizing that the core of his appeal is based on 12 key points with supporting evidence provided. He highlights significant errors in the documentation, resulting in serious inaccuracies that have legal implications. Due to his physical condition, he cannot manage the extensive paperwork and requests the documentation in digital format. Nick also clarifies that technical issues during the appeal process led to a mix-up in the evidence, contributing to the confusion.
Okay.
This summary captures the essence of Part 3 while remaining within the character limits and avoiding special characters. Let me know if this works for you.
I think it will. Okay. Provide evidence. Upload additional letters. Here we go. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to take that note, put it up here. Right, documents, 8 important items for DWP will be in the DWP folder itself. Okay. Go, go, go. choose file, main DWP folder. Now that's weird. Why isn't it? Ah, that's why. 8 important items for the attention of DWP. Okay. Right. Submit evidence. Yes. Win. Okay. So part 4 of 7. No. Okay, so part 2, 3, 4, 5. DW part, you guys are driving me crazy. Okay. Part 4 of 7. DW, where is the... Oh, really? Really? Whew. Better than a cigarette, but an expensive habit to start. Right. Oh, that's a point. I've got to have that pill. Lyrica pregabalin. Addicted to this. I can't stop it. It doesn't do anything for me. I can't stop it because if I do, I'll have chronic anxiety and I'll feel sick. Oh, it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. Anyway, okay, dear Department of Work and Pensions, you guys are driving me crazy. Ah, it's a short summary. You never know, that might actually work, but I will add this short summary to the beginning so it's consistent. Okay. Right. We've just got to add that little detail at the top. Okay, that's good. Close it down. Let's just check which folder it's in. Yeah, DWP appeal. Let's re-grab that. The version that this might work. Okay, so appeal, upload, Transcribe the evidence. Choose file. Actually, I want to add the video to the document. So let's remove the document from there, reopen the document. Find the video. I need to do this. Nope. On a different, your channel, sign out, switch accounts, Nick Ball, not the 10 technologies. We've got a problem with a previous video. I have to attend to that later. Let's get the link. Options, get shareable link. Add it to that document. Okay, close, go back to the appeal, find the document. There we go. Now, is it going to allow this description to pass? It is part 4 of 7, yeah? Yeah. Wow. Okay, so it does allow a few paragraphs. Okay, we're one more to go. Section 8. Okay, let's add the summary to it. Section 8, the cancellation, part 5 of 7. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's add the headers. Okay. Add that at the top. Original document before summary. This is the 8th part of, I don't need to put that. Put you in blue. Add the little bit at the top. Okay. I'm going to try and add the entire summary. I very much doubt it'll work. But we can always do what we've been previously doing. So, appeal, add additional letters. Choose file. See if you work. Submit evidence. No. Okay, so that was not unexpected. Let's go to GPT. Still not working on Google. No, Microsoft Edge is working in Google Chrome. Wow, Sienna, thanks. That worked a treat. Okay, same here, please. We need to summarize it to the same sort of length that you have above. Oh.
Here's a concise summary for Part 5 of 7. Part 5 of 7, the cancellation of neurology appointments and 7 serious medical conditions. Since July 2022, Nick has experienced 7 serious medical conditions, likely linked to what he believes is the largest case of polypharmacy in UK history, a claim that neither the GMC nor NHS has denied. These conditions include acquired megacolon, central sensitization, which has crippled him, autonomic nervous system damage, oral candidiasis, 2 urological conditions, and tinnitus. Despite improvements after reducing medication, these conditions have not been properly addressed. Nick believes this is due to an orchestrated cover-up or a rule within medical institutions to avoid diagnosing conditions caused by malpractice. This summary captures the key points of Part 5 within the desired length and format. Let me know if this works for you.
Okay, that's a good start, but I've seen 2 things. One, Nick has experienced several remove the word likely. Just say linked to what he believes. ... 2. We don't need this sentence. You can replace it with all of these conditions on set within 3 months of a radical change in medication. Noting that the previous medication was so far above the legal dosages, it was absurd. Free. And for the last part, Nick believes this is in part an orchestrated cover-up and in part a rule within medical institutions to avoid diagnosing any conditions caused by malpractice. And add to that, diagnosing, even discussing conditions that would lead to another doctor becoming in trouble due to the discussions. Therefore, it's not ever been written down on any medical record. Therefore, I cannot send you the medical records. Sorry, I gave you too much there, but see what you can do with that. We can go a bit longer. The last one we did allow about twice this length. So let's see what you can do and refer to the original documentation if you need it.
Here's the revised summary for Part 5 of 7. Part 5 of 7. The cancellation of neurology appointments and 7 serious medical conditions. Since July 2022, Nick has experienced 7 serious medical conditions, linked to what he believes is the largest case of polypharmacy in UK history, a claim that neither the GMC nor NHS has denied. These conditions include acquired megacolon, central sensitization, which has crippled him, autonomic nervous system damage, oral candidiasis, 2 urological conditions, and tinnitus. All of these conditions onset within 3 months of a radical change in medication, noting that the previous medication was so far above the legal dosages it was absurd. Nick believes this is in part an orchestrated cover-up and in part a rule within medical institutions to avoid diagnosing or even discussing any conditions that could lead to another doctor being implicated in malpractice. As these issues are not being recorded in medical records, he cannot provide the necessary documentation for the DWP appeal. This version incorporates your feedback and provides a detailed yet concise summary of Part 5. Let me know if this meets your needs.
Yeah. Yeah, that is good. It's so good that I might even add it as a double summary. No, let's just... Actually, I will. I'm going to add that to the document. So there's a short summary, then there's a summary, then there's the full document. Summary 1. A summary of the summary. Yep. Okay. Now we've got to remove that. Where are you? There you are. Okay, let's remove that file and re-add that file. Delete. Choose file. Let's go back to GPT and grab that summary. Copy and paste. Uh-oh. There we go. Remove. Okay, now there is a double dash. I'm not sure if that'll be counted as a special character. If it is, don't panic. But here we go. This is the last one for today. Submit evidence to the tribunal. Go. No, doesn't like the double dash. Okay. Or the longer dash. Let's see if it works without it. Submit evidence to the tribunal. Go. Yes. Well done, Sienna 40, GPT 40. Whew, what a day. What a 2 days. I mean, I haven't finished. I've still got to write to them about the fact that I'm eligible for a wheelchair, but I haven't got one so far because I can't sit down. It's not that if I could sit up, everything would be a lot easier. You know, there's a million places you can go in a wheelchair, and there's very few places you can only go if you're on a stretcher. So, I mean, I can sit for a little while, but it'll cause such chronic pain later that, but I am pleased. So I've got to do the wheelchair. I've got to let them know that because Old College Hospital, I gave them a subject access request. That's a legal document for them to provide the medical records. And I gave that to them in January. It should have been, they've got 3 months. After 3 months, they've broken the law, but they still haven't sent it to me. It's August, so they've broken the law by double. They should have done it in 3 months. They haven't got it back in 8. Because of that, I can't properly give the evidence they need because the evidence that I need of the corruption hasn't been sent to me. Obviously, because they're worried when they send it to me, I'm going to find it because I found a huge amount on the mental health record, and I'm obviously going to find a huge amount on the doctor's record. They're probably worried, well, hang on, is he now going to go do the same with us? Whereas he's going to find out where we have removed things from the medical record. Because I've recorded everything, absolutely everything. There's not a single conversation between me and Old College Hospital that I haven't got recorded. So I know what's been said and I know the likely reactions. And if we have a huge row between me and Dr. Sevenoaks and there's not a single word on the medical record, we know that has been edited, presumably. And there wasn't a row. It was, I'd suggested to him that now that I've shown Dr. Fajalio to be a criminal, he shouldn't send anybody else to them. And if he does, he would legally be liable for any harm that comes to them now that I have advised him that Dr. Fajalio is a menace to society. But he saw that as a threat. And it's a tricky area when it comes to legal statements. If you make a legal statement or you advise somebody in the law, that I'd say that isn't a threat, but you know, maybe he did, but it's very unlikely that after that incident there would be nothing on the medical record, because of that he said he didn't want to be my doctor anymore. I've got to change to a new GP. That's why I changed to Dr. Johnson, and I thought Dr. Johnson was my GP. I thought they realised the errors they'd made because Dr. Sevenoaks signed off on all that medication. You know, he was the GP. He should have been the one saying, hang on, this is well over the legal dose of this and this and this and this all at the same time. Are you kidding me? But he didn't. So he's legally liable for all the damage that I'm now in. So yeah, there's a whole load of evidence that comes from that subject access request. And because they haven't given it to me and they're 6 months late, I can't provide the proper evidence to the Department of Work and Pensions about any of those incidents. So I will ask that the extension for the time that I can put in for evidence, and don't bother getting the judge yet because we haven't finished the appeal. We'll only have finished the appeal once we've got the subject access requests back that were due before the appeal was closed. Okay, and then there's the last one of me crawling on my hands and knees to Sienna's crematorium that I made a video of that I can't send them because they can't pick up videos that are more than a few minutes. I mean, then there's writing to the judge and letting him know of all the Department of Work and Pensions errors, etc., etc., etc. But for now, I'm glad to have got something sent to them because I don't know when they're going to cut this off. It could be a matter of days. Okay, so we'll come back to this. We'll do the wheelchair, we'll do the SAR request, and we'll do the me crawling on my hands and knees just to prove that I can't walk, or if I can walk a little bit, but I'm properly crippled. You know, if you're having to crawl on your hands and knees to your own daughter's crematorium, I mean, you know, you've got a serious health condition, and you definitely are, what is it, personal independence payment? You know, there is no independence. I haven't left, other than going to my daughter's crematorium, I haven't left this house for over a year, other than medical appointments. And those are by stretcher. Okay, but anyway, I'm pleased to have got those 4 documents off. 5 documents. And yeah, okay, 3 hours, 15 minutes. It's a long one. Remember, there was 2 hours before this and nearly 3 hours yesterday. So that's an awful long time to spend on one particular, really one point, which is the neurology. Got cancelled. This seems to be an orchestrated cover-up. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Goodbye.